5 months of an injury taught me 3 things no training plan ever could. Being an injured runner sucks. I know it all too well. Well, here's the side of things as they stand right now. No KT tape. Nothing. This is a first in a very long time. Let me go outside. Everyone. This is what the messy middle looks like. I can't believe it's taken 5 months to finally get back to, I don't know, some sort of semblance of waking up in the morning and not feeling the dread of my knee. Injuries suck. So let me explain what happened. It's early. It's dark outside. I'm sitting here thinking about where I am right now. Not where I want to be, not where I was, where I actually am. I didn't think anyone would be here. The honest answer is I'm not better. I'm better, but I'm not back. A ton of rain that came down last night. I thought about waiting to make this video until I had a clearer story to tell, until the knee was fully healed and the running was back, and I could say, oh, here's how I did it. Here's the full comeback. Here's the happy ending. But that's not where I am. I think pretending it would be doing a disservice to everybody in this community who is in their own version of this messy middle. So this is what this video is about, the messy middle, where it actually is right now, and how I got here and where I'm going. Let me give you the full picture because I think context matters. In this case, it really does. This isn't just a knee injury. It never really was. The knee is the symptom. What's underneath it is years of neglecting the strength side of my training, thinking that running was enough. And let me tell you, it's not. That 6 years of MAF training and running a 50-mile ultra meant my body was literally bulletproof. Well, it isn't. Nobody is. I spent the most of 2026 dealing with a meniscus strain that came not from a particular moment on a trail, but from sitting in my car driving for work, hours of awkward position. The body that was really just carrying more fatigue and weight than it had been in a very long time, or that it should. And all of these years of not doing any strength work, it would have protected the joint. So my knee went out, running stopped, and my weight came back up. And then my personal life just took a hit. Am I ready to talk about it yet? Not fully, but all of it compounded. And by the time I made the rock bottom video, I was about 230 pounds and I hadn't run in months. And that video, the one where I talked about going for a walk after getting the worst news of my life, that video connected with more people than anything I've made on this channel for a little while. Over 2,000 views. It came really fast and then it kept climbing. You know, there was over 100 comments. Friends that I didn't even know were subscribing called in to check in on me to see if I was okay. And honestly, that response told me something really important, right? The honesty was the right call. And it's why I'm sitting here or walking, you know, after 5 a.m. in the morning, making this video instead of working on a perfect story, because there is no perfect story. I'm going through a really crummy time, but I'm pulling myself out, because that's what I do. I don't sit there and wallow in my crap. I get out and I do things. And there wasn't one single moment where everything clicked either, right? There were 3, and I think actually more. The first dot was the strength diagnosis. My chiropractor is a Canadian Olympian, and she put me through some basic movement tests, doing a wall sit test, to hold for 30 seconds, and I made it to 10. And that literally told both of us the same thing, that the knee was weak because everything supporting it was weak, right? My quads, my glutes, my core, years of running without building the structure underneath it. I knew I should be doing it, but I didn't do it. So the exercises started. Wall sits, glute bridges, dead bugs, planks, monsters, every single day. Well, maybe not every day, but look, I don't like doing those things, but I knew that I needed to do it to kind of get things moving in the right direction. You know, these exercises are things that needed to happen before anything else could happen. Because if the foundation is broken, it doesn't matter what I build on top of it, it's all going to fall apart. Now, the second shift was the nutrition. You know, I wasn't getting enough protein during the early part of my recovery, so I changed that. And as a vegetarian, coming off of an injury with reduced training volume, you know, I was eating comfort carbs probably most of the time. And I wasn't tracking anything, you know, bread, you know, bakeries are my crutch. And, you know, watching a baseball game, a bag of chips would be pulled out. And that all had to go, man. It's not good for healing. So getting back on MyFitnessPal and rebuilding, you know, my green smoothie habit, making protein a priority rather than an afterthought, you know what? That all changed. And, you know, I felt better. Right? The inflammation started to go down. The knee started to respond differently, which is why I'm out right now. And my energy started to stabilize. I felt less like I was kind of waiting and I was more actively doing something. The third shift was my 80-kilometer ride day in Toronto. So my business partner and I loaded up our bikes and we rode down to Etobicoke along the lakefront all the way into downtown Toronto. And we caught the ferry, went over to the center island, and we kayaked the waterways over there for like 2 hours. You know, we had lunch, we came back through a lot of other trails, a lot of new stuff. It was like 10 hours of like literal movement. And the knee, guess what, man? Didn't hurt once. Look, that day was planned, but it really wasn't part of the plan, right? There was no training schedule to do. It was just, we wanted to go, right? And I stopped waiting for permission for my knee to feel better, and I just did something that brought me genuine joy. Some of you had seen that video, right? Maybe if not, click there and go watch it. Look, that matters, you know, just not on the physical side, but the aerobic base trying to be maintained, low impact movement, the blood flow to my knee, but mentally, for the first time in a long time, I felt like myself again. Not just like an injured version of me, right? Not just waiting for permission to get out and do something, but actually doing it. And those three things together, the strength work, the nutrition, and the joy of that day, that's what started to move the needle. And that was something that I could be grateful for. So here's where I am right now. Not physically, but where I am in my training. And I want to be straight because, you know, easy optimism isn't useful to anyone, specifically me. The knee is better, right? Notably better than it was 3 months ago, right? The laser therapy has certainly helped. Acupuncture has certainly helped. Using the KT tape has been amazing. Look, I'm walking. I'm not consistent, but I'm walking, right? I'm just trying to work on muscle. I'm just trying to not even pay attention to anything else other than what I'm eating, my movement for the day. I'm trying to get there. My MAF heart rate is being monitored, right? I'm keeping an aerobic base, obviously, right? It's just, you know, ticking over, right? The 80 kilometer day proved my base is still there. It didn't disappear during the injury period, which tells me my 6 years of building it created something that is long lasting. Now, is it going to continue to be that way if I don't put in the work? Probably not. Now, the strength numbers are improving. I'm holding the wall sit longer and I'm happy. Like 30 seconds, no problem, right? The glute bridges feel stronger. The dead bugs are getting easier to control. My planks, these things are small wins, but they're measurable, right? I can measure it. And they're consistent. But here's the thing. I'm not running yet. And I want to be straight about this, about why. It's not just the knee, it's the weight. The pounds are hard on their knee. It's still healing. Every extra pound and kilogram is an extra load on that joint that is trying to recover. So the plan, the one that I'm actually following rather than the one that I wished I could, is to let the weight come off, come down through walking, nutrition, gym work before I put the running load on that joint again. I just can't do it. Look, it's very frustrating, and I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. Every morning when I can't go for a run, I feel the absence of it. My wife knows it. My daughter knows it. They can tell, and so can my friends and everyone else around me. But the frustration doesn't change, I guess, the physics of it. And I've made mistake of kind of rushing back before. 2021, after my ultra, and I came back too fast, too soon, and I paid for it for 6 months on the sideline of not doing. And look, I'm not going to do that again, right? I mean, I'm getting close to 6 months, but so here I am in the honest uncertainty of it all, right? Better, but not back. Moving, but not running. Building, but not built yet. And I'm okay with it most days. So here's what this experience has taught me. And I mean really taught me. Not just intellectually understood, but in a way that changes how I move forward. Running is not separate from the rest of my life. So I used to treat it like its own little compartment. This thing that over here has its own rules and has its own results, right? But your sleep affects it, your stress affects it, your nutrition affects it, your strength or lack of strength absolutely affects it. Look, my knee injury just didn't happen. It arrived after years of one-dimensional way of training. So the second thing, vulnerability on this channel is not my weakness. I was nervous about making the rock bottom video, and I was nervous about sharing my weight gain up to 230 pounds and the personal stuff, the not being able to run, and the response to that honesty that I've been putting out was the most connected I've felt to this community in a very long time. Your comments mean so flippin' much, right? People don't need all the good stuff about me, right? They need to know that they're not alone in the messy middle. The middle is where most of us actually live. And third, and this one I'm still learning, is patience applied to recovery. The workouts, exactly the same way patience applied to my marathon training. You don't rush the aerobic base. You don't rush, the healing of my knee, for instance. Right? You trust the process. You do the work, and you're honest with yourself. Right? You measure it. You measure the things. Right? You let the adaptation happen in its own time. You have to give it the fuel it needs so it can heal, and the time. Look, I know this. I've known this for 6 years, and I still have to remind myself of it every single day, but I'm better for it. So that's where I am at 5 o'clock on a dark morning. It's 6 o'clock now, but I'm better, but not back. Building, but not built, and hopeful. I don't know exactly when I'll run again. I know I will. The base is there, the strength is coming slowly, the nutrition is back on track, and all the pieces seem to be moving in the right direction, including me. I don't have any KT tape on my knee, so that's a good thing. It seems like it's working, but I'm not going to tell you it's happening next week. If I don't know, that's just what it is. It's the truth. I don't. What I can tell you is I'm going to keep showing up here, telling you exactly how it's going, the good days, the uncertain ones, the walks that feel like progress, and the mornings that feel like I'm just kind of stalling out. Because, look, this community, the comments, the messages, the friends who called, you're all part of why I keep going. I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted. So if you're in your own messy middle right now, whatever it looks like, I want to hear about it. Tell me in the comments below, because I love reading them. The comments section is wonderful. You may not be where you want to be, but I want you to tell me kind of where you actually are. That's where the real conversation starts, in my opinion. And like I always say, get out and just move your body. See you on the next one. I think this video, if you haven't watched it, you can see where I was at rock bottom.